right, now when we record with him, I want you to say something about how you only like picture books, okay?
I do. It's true.
Welcome back, everybody, to This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I'm your host, Perry. With me, just as he always is. Well, I mean, unless he's not.
One time. Okay. Can you replace me? Come on.
What happened?
I'm just playing.
Okay, it's
You did
Eric the
replace
Whiskey
me,
Mutant.
One time.
Well, you were gone.
I didn't replace you when you were gone.
That's true.
You owe me.
All right.
I'm here always.
I've done plenty of solo episodes.
Not in years.
Yeah, all right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you've been well.
Talk about this later.
I'm out of here. Sick of it. Hope you've had a good week. Hope you've had some good bourbon. We're back for another podcast.
Yeah,
Is this how I normally start things? I don't feel like it is.
Really, but
yeah, I
you
know.
know. You don't.
It's the holiday season.
It's the holiday season. Everybody's recovering from their turkey. But now we got Christmas.
He's lost it.
No, turkey.
I don't get it.
Hint. Oh,
I don't
okay.
get it.
But now Christmas. Let me ask you this.
All
Right off the bat.
Okay.
When I have a big, nice turkey, Thanksgiving dinner, all the stuff, I don't want that for Christmas again. I feel like it's too close.
No, definitely not.
What are you having for Christmas? We've done Chinese.
Okay.
We've done pizza before.
Are you talking about what I prefer or what?
What I'm saying, what would you if you got to pick Christmas dinner this Christmas after all the Thanksgivings you just done, what would be your meal?
Like steak.
Okay.
Or to celebrate the birth of the lamb.
Party pizza.
Yes.
Yes.
No, lamb.
Oh.
Do you like lamb?
Yeah, when it's done right.
What's done right to you?
Like cooked really good. Like it can get very like dry. Sometimes people over it. I don't cook it that much myself.
Honestly, if you grill it kind of the same way that you grill steak, you're pretty much guaranteed for a good experience.
Yeah. It's not my something that I crave or I've only every once in a while.
Sure.
Not as much as party pizzas.
I love lamb. You know what I love more than just like a lamb chop is a lamb burger.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I love lamb burgers, man.
I don't think I've ever had a lamb burger.
I love them. Love them. I'm hungry.
Let's go.
All I had today was a smoothie and a bowl of cereal.
I gave you a piece of pizza.
And a piece of pizza. You're right. He handed that to me as I was walking in.
Old fart head.
Why did you call it that?
Because I don't know. It's old fart head pizza.
I don't, but like, what is that in relation to?
Old fart heads. Eating pizza that's cold.
Okay. I'm just going to give it to you.
Okay. I mean, they know what I'm talking about.
Who? Who knows?
Them.
Oh, you.
Yeah.
Was that leading anywhere? The question about dinner? You're just curious?
I was just curious.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm curious if you have signed up for the Patreon yet. That's patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. You can support the show for as little as $1 a month, for as little as $5 a month. There's bonus content that's over there as well, including, but not limited to, a bonus episode that comes out every Monday, the pregame chats that come out before every single episode, and the uncut version of the main episode as well.
Uncircumcised.
Yes, it's just there.
Yep.
You got to decide what to do with it.
Full load.
The full Monty.
Yep.
We made that joke already today, didn't we?
Not on here.
We've been recording for a while.
Not on here.
You're right. You're right. We normally kick off episodes, though, with either sips and snacks, which is a pairing thing that we do. But we did that last week. So we're doing Flying Blind instead, which is it's a blind sample or something.
If you're listening
the other person
to this
doesn't know what it
podcast and
is.
you don't know what a blind is,
welcome. Glad that it's your first time. You've just listened to your first bourbon podcast, and I tell you what, they're not all like this.
No. But this is where
some are better, some are much, much worse.
Where you get poured whiskey in a glass, you don't know what it is, and you try to guess what it is. Or you just say, hey,
or you just enjoy it.
Yeah, you just enjoy it.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be a competition.
But life is a competition.
That's just baseball.
Yeah.
I
hope you like
prefer to
this.
think of life as a highway.
You want to ride it all night long?
All night long, baby.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
So was this provided by anybody?
I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Save a little bit. We might want some later.
Enticing.
Love is a highway.
Why do I get so surprised and scared by sudden singing?
I don't know.
Ever tell you my
Smells good.
Okay, well, I'm not going to tell that story now.
What?
Oh.
Ooh, moans.
Did I ever tell you my the thing I think about every time I hear the song Hotel California?
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't have to tell it anymore.
What?
Okay, so I was like 15 or 16, and I don't anymore because
You're an adult?
because I'm an adult. I would sleep with the window open
Oh, okay.
quite often.
Yeah.
Because as you know, I run hot. And it was a good way to. I like the smell of the night air.
Yeah.
Just
Depends on
even
where
in
you
my
live.
sleep.
Depends on where you live.
Well, that's true. If you live next to a paper mill,
Mm.
God bless you. That is one of the worst smells in the
I don't
world.
like it at all.
I hate paper mill smells. Anyway, it was like middle of the week, and I woke up at like 2:30 in the morning to somebody behind our house. Like, where I grew up, we had neighbors behind us as well. Somebody was in their driveway blasting Hotel California at 2:30 in the morning. And it felt like I was in the Hotel California.
Was there like neon lights flashing in there? And stuff?
But like specifically, I remember hearing you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. And I was like, am I dreaming still? Anyway, that's what I think of every time I hear Hotel California.
I'm just glad nobody was coming through your windows, snatching your kids up. Hide your kids.
Hide your kids, hide your
Hide your
wives.
wife.
Probably was around that time too that video came out.
Baby, baby, baby. Oh, baby, baby. How was I supposed to know? That is good.
Wow.
That is good. They
Wow.
don't make that like they used
Whoa,
to.
that finish. It's big. It's a big finish.
You look like a bear. Pear bear.
I guess I would be
edit yourself right there to make yourself look like a bear.
I guess I would be a bear if I were gay.
Yeah. Or a silverback when you get older. Isn't that what that is?
I don't know, dude.
Like an old man that's hot, something like that.
Silver fox.
Oh. What was I thinking? Gorilla?
Yeah, silverback gorilla.
Gorillas are hot too.
Gorillas are sexy, man.
They're sexy. I like gorillas. You ever see them in there? Go to the zoo. They're majestic.
We've been to the zoo together.
I know.
Do people know that? Have we ever talked about that?
Yeah, just me and you.
Yeah. It was our bro date.
We decided to go to the zoo. Got to know each other a little better before the podcast started.
That was the interview process. The two of us just
Meet me at the Louisville Zoo, and we're going to talk and walk and look at animals. And
we
now
can
I'm
do
on
this
the
in a
podcast.
park.
Now I'm on the podcast. Years later.
No, it has to be at the zoo. I gotta know if you like the tigers, man.
I got to know how you feel when the gorillas are there.
No, we went to the zoo with our families.
Yeah, you tell them that. You know it just means
Oh man. Anyway, this is real good. What is this?
This was from Joseph Brazo.
What?
It's
Joseph.
This was sent with a couple other samples that we've already drank. But this
Okay.
is a 2014 Booker's.
Whoa. You know what's funny is I was thinking that it was like Booker's territory.
Yeah, 128.9 proof. 2014 707.
Did they have names?
I don't know. Maybe this is
I'm
7.
gonna look it up on my phone because
There were 7 batches of Booker's in 2014. Is that what that means?
Yes.
What?
I hate this timeline.
Shit's good though.
That's really good. Oh, I didn't even have a name on it.
No name. Booker's no name batch. That's it. Booker's no name batch.
Okay.
I knew I forgot it.
Bottled at 7 years and 7 months and 13 days of age.
And it's 7? Batch 7?
Batch 7.
Nice. 777.
I've got bingo. Anyway.
I like that.
I like that a lot. Thank you, Joseph. That was a great way to kick off an episode that is sure to be full of twists and turns and dips and dives.
Yes.
But we'll get to that later, because right now, actually, before I ask you what we've been drinking recently, as is customary, and I apologize that I bring it up every year, but the anniversary happens every year. As of recording, today is 5 years since my dear, dear friend Billy Thomas passed away from a heart attack at 28 years old.
Crazy.
It's crazy to think that I'm now older than he ever was. Just wild, man. Just wild. So the bourbon that he and I shared a great love of together was Knob Creek Small Batch, 100 proof. And I asked Eric if he had any. He said no. But he did have the 12 and the 15-year-old 100 proof
100
small
proof,
batches.
And you know what?
So
I think Billy would approve.
Billy would have approved of this.
He probably would have liked to have a pour himself.
Yeah. So in honor of Billy, this is what we're going to be drinking, I suppose. But one of my favorite people ever. And just hard to think of a world without him, even still 5 years afterwards. I was talking with his dad last night, and we were kind of reminiscing a little bit. And I said, I think it's an early tip or bit or high proof hot take. I don't know. A lot of people say it's hard to move on from people that have left you. I actually think it's really quite easy to kind of move on from that. You don't have to worry about difficult feelings. You have things that are ahead of you that you can smile about and laugh about, and you can kind of heal and move on. But it's harder, I think, to maintain the memory of people that you have loved that you have also lost. And it's what keeps them alive to me. So in honor of keeping Billy's memory alive and the hard stuff, cheers.
It's a good pour.
Hot dog. There's just nothing but beam today, apparently. Well, that's not true.
Well, yeah.
Hey, what have you been drinking recently?
Well,
that finish is
I'm
nice.
still
Sorry.
on my quest. I cut down my drinking a little bit just to. This is a funny comment. I told somebody that I cut my drinking down a little bit because my cholesterol was up and little stuff, and they tried to correct me saying that I eat too much meat, which I don't. Yeah, because I post about grilling all the time. I eat too much red meat and stuff, and that can cause your cholesterol to go up. Yes, I know that eating a lot of meat causes my cholesterol.
Now remind me, what do you do for a job?
I'm a nurse.
Oh, okay. So you went to
nursing school,
right? And so you understand how cholesterol works, right? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. Just wanted to check in on that. Just remind everybody.
I don't eat that much meat to cause my cholesterol to go up. It's based on stress and alcohol, because your good cholesterol and your bad cholesterol are always going up and back and forth and all this. So your body's making the good cholesterol when you drink alcohol, and it's doing its thing, but it's a whole thing. Anyway, so
alcohol makes good cholesterol, really?
Well, alcohol makes cholesterol go up, but your body interacts with it to kind of even out.
Oh,
so
okay.
It can cause different levels of cholesterol go up. Either way,
shut up.
Either way,
shut up.
I didn't have a whole lot, but I had last night. We ordered some food from Banners for dinner, and I went up to get the food, and me and April went up just to have a drink before. We're like, we've been, it's a couple days, middle of the week. I had a pour of their 1792 foolproof.
Yes.
And let me tell you, after not having anything for a few days, woo! Get you good.
It gets you. He's gonna get you. He's gonna get you.
And I will say, if you're in Lexington, you should check out Banner's Sports Bar. Always sports going. They have a lot of picks and stuff, but they don't shy away. They do almost Perry pours when you order a neat pour of whiskey, depending on who's at the bar. Like they give you a big old. Did you see it? This was, and they're
maybe I don't remember
that much.
Dang, son. I'll put it up on screen too for anybody who's watching the video version.
Because it was their special. They do like a single barrel special.
Utah, give me 2.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just like, here you go.
Okay, dokie.
So yes, I had a big old pour of 1792 foolproof, and I enjoyed every single minute of it.
Nice.
And what else? Oh, after we recorded the other night, I had a little bit of Funky Nerds.
Oh yeah, that's right, you did.
And it keeps getting better with age. It just keeps aging. It does. I promise.
Just keeps getting narrated and narrated.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. But I loved that Banner 1792 foolproof. It's so good.
Nice.
So
trying to think, there wasn't a whole lot that I really got into this week. I've been on antibiotics to try to get over this crud. Finally, I realized I have not been on antibiotics since before Eden was born. So
I hate antibiotics, man.
I don't particularly like them either, but I do notice that I feel better.
Yeah.
Right now. Like, I don't know what kind of underlying crap I've had in the background just eating away at me. But I feel so much better.
My attitude towards sickness has rubbed off on you, in where you just deal with it, and you like, if I'm not dying, I'm not going to the doctor.
But I mean, I've kind of been that way anyway for the past few years. But
sometimes you'll ask me, like, is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, you'll be fine.
But it's easier for me to do that than to go to the doctor.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, like, I almost, when I was here last week, asked you to look at my throat.
I would. I probably got extra antibiotics upstairs you could have.
Yeah, well, so I'm on Augmentin for the first time, and like, there was a period too where I had like a sinus infection or strep, like almost every month at the same time, and so I was very well versed, in Augmentin, amoxicillin, Z-Packs, whatever they had that could get rid of it, but. Yeah, it feels weird taking an extra pill each day twice each day for 10 days. Now you know. So I haven't been drinking quite as much as I maybe would have. But I did finally, after third time's a charm, apparently, I had a Goose Island Bourbon County Stout from this year that I liked. I had it with my dad.
Which one was this?
This was the Backyard Stout, I think is what they call it. Yeah. It had a few different types of berries. I don't remember. It was really good. It finally was just like, I was so nervous going into it, and I got
everything else was like,
because everything else was either bad or okay. But I got the glasses out and I was pouring it up, and I was kind of like, here you go, Dad. And I let him try it first just to see what his reaction would be. And I took a drink of it and I said, oh, thank God it's good.
I feel like we did that.
I was so concerned.
We did that with something the other day. Well, not other day, but a recent bottle that we tried, and we were like, oh, thank God this was good. I don't know what it was.
Was it something we reviewed?
Probably.
Or
I don't remember.
Was it? Do we open something for Thanksgiving? I don't remember.
So what is left out of this year's stouts that you have not tried?
Well, there's the Angel's Envy, finished one, and I don't know what the rest of them are. There's the Proprietor Stout, I guess.
Apparently, that we're friends with just send it to other people, but they don't send it to us.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. I really didn't have too much else. I killed a couple of bottles. I mean, Turkey 101 and Benchmark Full Proof.
There you
That's
go.
just
The
kind of
go-tos.
that's my kind of like, I see that I have a bill or
Oh, yeah.
the mortgage coming up, and I'm like,
and it's Christmas.
and it's Christmas. I'm like, maybe I'll just be
okay,
drinking
maybe
on
I'll
the
just
cheap.
drink the rest.
Yeah, I'll get some Bud Light too.
Yeah, that's how it is right now. I mean, I'm sure talk about bourbon prices later, but that's true. Like, it's hard. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we got bills. You got people to, somebody messaged me this morning. Was like, hey, when you go to Wilderness Trail to get the new single barrel, grab me one if you can. I get, I'm not going. I said, I can't afford that. Right?
I think I had somebody they asked me the same question.
Because they assumed I probably would, because I've got every other release.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, it's Christmas and it's just expensive.
Well, it was also like a one per person.
Was it?
I think so.
I didn't read.
There were only 113 bottles.
When I knew that I couldn't get it, I kind of just like tuned out because I didn't want to like think about it the whole time.
Yeah, I talked about this on my live stream last night, which the audio version should be up in the feed now. I'm sorry I keep saying that, but this one's gonna be in the feed. So listen to that.
Check the
too.
feed.
Hopefully, what this means is that they have more 10-year-old stock
I would assume.
sitting, and we'll see another 10-year-old release, just not at $300.
Because this was just a single barrel, right?
Yes.
So all the other ones have been batched. So hopefully we'll get I'm assuming that one will be a little bit more affordable, and I will get that one. But just right now, unfortunately, can't afford it.
Yeah.
So
It's Christmas.
it's Christmas time. I got 3 kids.
Merry Christmas,
Yeah.
everybody.
And the mortgages due.
Eden, where she can't say her C's, she says Twistmas.
Christmas?
Merry Twistmas.
Christmas.
Yeah. This is My Bourbon Podcast is brought to you by Walking Pad. Eric,
Yeah.
what would you say is the hardest part of being an adult with a full-time job?
Staying in shape, eating right, taking care of yourself.
There you go. The folks at Walking Pad are here to alleviate some of that stress. They are the only foldable treadmill designed to alleviate the pain of sedentary lifestyle and lack of exercise. And they say it's a must-have for many people who work from home. I work from home. I am in the same foldable. So not only is it easy to use,
You know how many times
it's transportable.
I've had to put together a huge treadmill only to have it sit and then take it apart if I move or something?
Way too many times.
I might as well just throw it away. I wouldn't throw this away.
No, I think this is a great opportunity for people, especially like me, as I've been trying to lose weight, trying to get healthier, especially as I have now entered into my 30s. It's something that's at the forefront of my mind. And if you're like me, if you're like us, you live a slightly more sedentary lifestyle, something that you want to kind of alleviate, Walking Pad is here to help out with that. They provide a simple and convenient fitness environment, helping everyone to start a healthy lifestyle.
Sometimes I don't even feel like getting out of the house. I don't even have to leave.
It's tough to get out of the house and go to the gym sometimes.
It is.
And so, I mean, this is here for you. This is right here for you. If this sounds enticing, you can check out the link in the description. When you spend money with Walking Pad using our specific link, you are also supporting This Is My Bourbon Podcast. So thank you to Walking Pad for supporting the show. And thank you for supporting us, too, with, when you go spend a little bit of money with Walking Pad.
Yeah, thanks.
Eric?
Yes. What?
We were discussing before we got things going just a moment ago that this has been it's been a busy fall into a busy winter for us, and we created some of that busyness from an episode that we said a lot of things.
We did.
And it was a lot of I think what it felt initially was very charged. and we kind of felt like this was not just our idea. Dave also wanted to hop on and talk about some stuff with us as well. We're not going to just focus on that. We've got a lot more that we're going to talk about. But I am incredibly happy to be welcoming back Dave Jennings, RareBird101, to this My Bourbon podcast for the first time in a few years. And the first time that we ever recorded together was in 2019. Well, actually, it was 2018, and the episode came out in 2019. Oh, so things are all over the place. Long time ago. Lots of things have changed. But Dave, thank you so much, man, for being on and hanging out with us for a little while.
Dave's changed that much because I've been
he hasn't.
I've been following him for a long time.
I've got a little more gray.
You still
So do
got
I.
good hair though. Great hair.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you. I try to keep it on top, but I don't know. The color's going no matter what I do. So
I think the gray is distinguishing. Yeah, I think it's
just my beard now.
Well, you don't have any hair up top anyway.
It's gone.
Yeah. So,
well, thank you.
Of course, man. You sent us a little Christmas gift as well to sip on while we're talking.
Yeah.
You sent us a sample of the Pride of Anderson County rye and one of the bourbons as well. This bourbon is the 119.8 proof.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's right.
And the rye, of course, is 9.5 years. The bourbon is 13.5.
Correct.
Aside from all of the the kind of criticism that we were talking about with Pride of Anderson County, I don't think I ever truly said I do still want to try these products. There was still an underlying thought of I'm just curious what they're like.
Yeah.
And this is just a great opportunity to be able to do that. And we'll get into some of just the overall generalized kind of state of how expensive bourbon is right now in a bit, but I think we should probably take the time first and foremost to talk about these two products that are in front of us. So we had the rye on our left, so I figured we go left to right. But do you want to start with the rye, Dave? Do you want to start with the bourbon? Where do you think?
I think we should start with the bourbon.
Okay, cool.
And this is so. Whenever I first received samples for what would become this first wave of Pride of Anderson County, they were 8.5 years. The bourbon was 8.5 years. I'm sorry, 12.5 years. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Mixing this up. The rye was 8.5 years.
You've been doing this for a while, dude.
The rye was 8.5, and the bourbon was 12.5. And so by the time we finally bottled them, it was 9.5 on the rye and 13.5 on the bourbon. The bourbon comes from Camp Nelson E, fourth floor, and the rye comes from Tyrone Q, fourth floor. The bourbon was distilled with some of the last whiskey distilled at the old Rippey Brothers distillery before they tore that down. And the rye was distilled at, of course, the new Wild Turkey distillery that you can go and see now whenever they get those tours kicked back off. But I knew it was special the first time I tasted it. Bruce and Grant at Wild Turkey personally selected these barrels, and they were special from day one, and they're even more special now because they've had a little age on them, and now they're bottled up. But it's not what you think. Like, I think a lot of people were expecting like a Russell's 13 profile, and that's not what this is. So,
well, I don't think I've ever had anything from Camp Nelson E. First of all,
it's a rick house that has been around a long time, but
sure.
It's not been in the single barrel program until recently. And there are Camp Nelson E Russell's Reserve picks this year, and many of them are 10 years. So an alternative to Pride of Anderson County would be that Camp Nelson E Russell's Reserve kind of profile. It's not going to be the same as a 13.5 year, and it's not barrel proof, but it'll scratch a similar itch.
So over the past few years too, we've had these trends of like, because was it 2019 or 2020 where it was all Camp Nelson picks that were going into Russell's Reserve single barrels?
2018, about midway through the year, it changed to about August or so. It changed to all Camp Nelson. And then the entire 2019 was Camp Nelson.
Right.
And there were A and F. And it was funny because, everybody kind of moaned a little bit, like, what is this? Only 2 rick houses. What happened to Tyrone D and all these ones I love,
Right.
Actually, they didn't even say Tyrone D. They just said D because, like, Camp Nelson was not really like a name, in the single barrel program. Sure. It wasn't a buzzword. And I think folks quickly realized that these were some incredible barrels coming out of there. And now people chase after them, especially the Fs. So all of those 2009 distilled Camp Nelson A and Fs are sought after, and the Fs especially so.
So what has been the 2023 trend with Russell's Reserve barrels? Because I haven't really, I'll be very honest, I haven't been fortunate enough to buy as many Russell's Reserve picks recently because they have jumped in price so much. Mm-hmm. So I don't really have a good grasp on where a lot of the picks have been coming from this year. What have you kind of seen as the trend so far?
Okay.
I guess it's right. Almost over.
In the state of Kentucky, the price of Russell's Reserve is well up there now. I want to say, what is it, about $90 now?
It is. It is pretty much $90 now.
Go to Kroger and get it cheaper. But
85.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So where I live, it's still in that $65 to $69 range. Some places I know they can find it even cheaper. I've seen folks say they found it for $60, that type of thing. So, so I feel for you and understand, although that is kind of becoming the norm.
It's becoming the norm.
Your Four Roses picks are priced the same and that type of thing. So this year, Camp Nelson B is a big one. It was introduced last year, and it's around this year. So I would highly recommend picking up any Camp Nelson B selection. Tyrone Q. Tyrone Q was introduced this year. And they're just phenomenal. I don't know what the deal is. They're like 8-year picks, but they're darker than a lot of the 10-year picks that are out there. And they just have a lot of depth and complexity. I can't wait to see what those taste like as they age out a little longer. But even at 8 years, they're remarkable. Another one would be Camp Nelson E. It's probably the gentler of the 3. In terms of profile, it has most of them are 10 years that you're going to find out there right now. Okay, I would equate it to like a proofed up Russell's 10. It kind of like is that right down the middle kind of bourbon profile. It doesn't really have anything that like really jumps out on the spice side or fruit side or whatever. It's got a lot of your familiar turkey notes, but it has that 10-year age statement, and it's 110 proof. So if you like Russell's 10, try to find one of those 10-year C&Es for a more amped up experience. And finally, I would say that Camp Nelson F. Camp Nelson F is back this year. Matter of fact, I got one right here. You can't really.
You just posted about this too.
Just posted about it. So this is a. It says it's 8 years, but it's almost 9. It's 11 days shy of 9. And
give it to him.
I just opened it last night. Very, very impressed. It reminded me of some of those 2018 Camp Nelson Fs when those were 8 years. And just kind of looking back now at the potential that those had and what they ended up becoming, and comparing that to the potential that this has and what this might become. So really excited to see F back in the program. It's 4th floor. Most of your Camp Nelson F barrels from 2018 and 2019 were 5th and 6th, but this is 4th, but that's right there in the center. So love it, and I can't wait to get more of them.
Well, we should probably talk about Camp Nelson E here for a second with the Pride of Anderson County. I got to be honest with you, Dave. I've never had a wild turkey product like this before. It's familiar, but at the same time, it's so very much its own thing. The note that I'm kind of getting more than anything is like mole.
Mole?
Yeah, like kind of a spicy chocolate
Tastes
sauce.
like if there was a cherry Butterfinger, if cherry Butterfinger was a thing.
Interesting.
That's what it tastes like to me.
Yeah.
It's cherry with peanut butter, like wafer top, and a little bit of chocolate. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's cherry for both of the bourbon releases that we've had so far, the 119.8 and the 120.6 proof. They've both showcased cherry. The 119.8 that we're sipping on now is a little bit more effervescent. Mm-hmm. It has a little bit more spice to it, and I would argue a little bit more complexity. The 120.6 proof is a lot denser and a lot richer, and it's a very, very just like cherry focused profile, real like cherry syrup, super cherry syrup. So it's kind of like they're opposite ends of the same profile spectrum. They both kind of have some similar notes, but in the nuances, they're completely different. So this one is what Pablo calls fancy. And I would agree with him on that. It does have a fancy quality to it.
Yeah.
And the 120 is just like drinking like bourbon concentrate. It's just rich, syrupy cherry. Awesome. So both of them I love. People are like, which one's your favorite? And honestly, there are some nights I would prefer the 120 and there's some nights I would prefer the 119. So it really just depends on what I'm looking for, but they're both phenomenal. And it was so odd to go from, having these 12.5-year samples and then not tasting it again for a year, and then flying to Kentucky, being there at Divine for the bottling and tasting these bourbons and rye, right out of the bottle, and kind of choked me up a little bit. It was better than I expected. And when the whole pricing thing kind of went down and people were upset, I knew that if folks just tasted it, I'm not saying that the price is relative to the individual. I'm not saying that it justifies that price tag or warrants that price tag or anything like that. All I'm saying is that I was thinking that as long as folks had the opportunity to taste it, they would see where I was coming from, that this is not just like marked up Russell's 13 or something like that. It has its own profile. It is special.
It does.
And I think you're going to see that the rye is even more special. And, it like I said, I'm not trying to like get into the whole price justification thing. I'm just trying to say that I knew when I tasted it that like, okay, I can stand behind this as being badass, because this is really badass whiskey.
Well, and I mean, I think that it is reasonable for us to talk about some of the pricing thing as well, because that is definitely what I think I would call the sticking point with what we were talking about on that episode. That and we will talk about it in as much as we can, but when I was expressing my kind of frustration over this pricing, there were a couple aspects that I don't think I did a really good job of explaining as well as I could have. And the first of which was, I wasn't upset that I was not going to be able to afford this, that I was priced out of it. It was just more of an ongoing kind of like exhaustion with things increasing in price so rapidly. And that, I think that actually kind of like folds into the second part of it, which was, I think about, the bourbon consumer as a whole, and, how accessible this spirit has been for so long. And it just kind of broke my heart a little bit to see that it was going to be that expensive. But again, it wasn't out of a place of like, well, I can't afford it, so I'm going to be mad about it. If that makes sense, right? Sure. But at the same time, and here's the other half of this too. I think I've gone on record as saying this. I'll say it again. I don't blame you. It was never a criticism of you. It was never me. And I'm not even saying that that falls on Pablo either. It was just like a general like frustration of it all. So, and I just wanted to kind of express that a little bit more.
Yeah, I probably just took my frustration out on that release. The buildup of where I am in bourbon right now, and like you said, the norm now is more expensive.
It is. It is,
and so it probably was a little frustration.
Yes and no. Okay, just to give
Turkey 101 still $25.
Correct. So just to give listeners, especially if they're listening for the first time, a little bit of context. We're talking about 3 bottles that came out in October called Pride of Anderson County. It's an independent bottling of Wild Turkey distilled and aged whiskey that was bottled by Rare Character Whiskey under a label that was an idea that I had and was able to get approved by Campari with a lot of luck and assistance from multiple people in that organization, including Bruce Russell. And I'm very grateful that was able to happen. The bottles did come out to be pretty expensive. And those prices were not determined beforehand. Those prices literally came together a couple days before the bottles went on sale. And there were reasons behind it. For the record, I'm not an employee of Campari or Wild Turkey. I'm not an employee of Rare Character Whiskey. So I have to be very careful and respectful of what I say because, it is not in my authority to talk about these things.
Absolutely.
But I will say that it is not at all what a lot of folks were assuming that it was. And, there was this kind of, the word greed was thrown out a good bit, not on your podcast necessarily, but in comments that you would see on social media, whether it was your podcast or, Jason did with Mash and Drum did a video and there were a lot of comments. And, you can look at Instagram posts featuring Pride and there's that word greed is thrown out. The fact of the matter is that, these are businesses, of course, whether it's Campari or Rare Character or, other, producers and conglomerates, whether it's Suntory or Kirin or whoever, Sazerac. I mean, these are businesses and they are in the business of creating whiskey and selling it for a profit. And the whole idea around that is to take a look at the market and price according to the market. And the market for whiskey has gone apeshit. I mean, it is wild. And people recognize that and businesses recognize that and shareholders recognize that. And there's an expectation there. Now, it's not like, if we just kind of look at one, company and look at Campari and specifically look at Wild Turkey, because I'm not going to factor in Wilderness Trail right now on this, but we look at Wild Turkey, 99% of what they sell is affordable and available. I mean, you can find 101, you can find Rare Breed, you can find Russell's 10, you can find Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. Most places you can find the 6-year rye. A lot of places you can find the single barrel rye. That one used to be kind of hard, but now that's rolling out there. 101 rye, not hard to find anymore. Used to be hard to find.
Thank goodness.
Not to mention there are some other things that come out that I feel aren't cheap, but I feel like they're fairly priced, like Russell's 13. Russell's 13 is $150. It's also 13-year whiskey at barrel proof with some older stuff thrown in it.
Sure.
And I mean, that lines up with like Bardstown Bourbon Company and some other places that release LE. So I don't think that, and Knob Creek 18 and these other things, it's not like Campari is just like throwing some big curveball on that price. $150, I think, is very fair for Russell's 13. So then what does it really come down to? What are people really complaining about? Well, and I hate to use that word complain, maybe upset is a better word, but it's either way, it's generations.
I think when you look at the way that we expressed our emotions in that episode, I think that there is it is not unreasonable to feel like we were complaining in some aspects of that.
Well, it's not uncommon. I mean, I see it a lot and I see it in different levels. yes, Generations is $450. And, that is a one-off expression. It's not an annual thing like Master's Keep. It was a celebration of the 3 generations of the Russells coming together and creating a special product. Because, we're thankful to even have Jimmy this far along, and what an awesome treasure it is to have him, and then to be able to take him and Eddie and Bruce and have them work together on a project. That's not something that's going to happen very often. That may be the only time that happens.
Of course.
And there was only 5,000 bottles. And okay, it didn't have a box or a bag or some kind of fancy decanter thing or whatever. It wasn't the point. The point was just to have a special whiskey. Campari priced it at $450. There's only 5,000 bottles. There's a lot more people than 4,000 or 5,000 people that want to buy it. And they priced it to market, and the flippers couldn't make a lot of money. I think it was going on the secondary for a while for like $600. So they were only making like $150. If they had priced that at like $100, $150, $200, the flippers would have been making, several $100s on top of that. And these producers, they see this. I mean, the secondary is not something that's inaccessible to producers. Okay. So, the more they see their whiskeys being sold for hundreds of dollars more than they priced them at, they realize that they're leaving money on the table, and shareholders realize that they're leaving money on the table. And, it is their job as a business, and they owe it to their shareholders to maximize the profits of the company. And so as much as folks don't like to hear it, these brands have every right to price to market. And if you want to blame anyone for whiskey prices going insane, I think a fair, bit of the blame falls on secondary market pricing, and these behaviors that have been going on for 10 years now. So possibly longer. They pay attention to these things. Okay, so then that's Generations. So you got Master's Keep, which went up in price, and you've got Single Rickhouse, which went up in price. Both of those are around 300, a little under. For Master's Keep is like 275, and then Single Rickhouse is now 300. These are very limited products. I think Master's Keep, you're probably looking at maybe, I don't know what the counts are for Voyage, but I'm thinking it's probably 15 to 20,000 bottles maybe. And then Single Rickhouse, I'm guessing maybe 10 to 15,000 bottles, right? This is just me kind of guessing in my head based on some past releases. That is a fraction of the whiskey that Wild Turkey produces. Like, sure. a very, very small fraction. So to say that Wild Turkey's being greedy or Campari's being greedy is completely unfounded, because the amount of money that they're pulling in on these small, and they are small, limited editions, is a mere fraction of what they make off American Honey or Wild Turkey 101 or Rare Breed or Russell's 10 or Long Branch or whatever. It is a fraction, a small fraction. And if they were trying to be greedy, the argument would have to be, well, they've raised the prices across the board on everything tremendously. Now that would be greedy. Or introducing shrinkflation, like switching from 750s to like 700s or something like that. That would be a good argument for, okay, now they're getting a little heavy-handed here. But just because a few limited editions are priced high doesn't mean that they're raking in the dough. It's not that way at all. Now, the people aren't going to like hearing this, but the bourbon community has a problem, and that problem doesn't exist for everyone, but it exists for a lot of people, and that is entitlement. There's this mindset that every time a new release is announced, that new release should be available to you and priced at a price that you feel like is comfortable. And there's this mindset that is how it should be. Like every edition should be priced appropriately or priced low and should be everywhere. Everybody feels like they're owed that. And it's just not the case anymore. It's like, before I got into bourbon, I was into coin collecting, or numismatics as they call it. And I totally understood that there were coins that I was never going to be able to acquire. There were coins that I would only see in books and magazines. I would never hold them or see them in my entire life. And I was fine with that. I found fun in the hobby with what I could afford, and learning about the history and researching, the different mints. And that was where I found my fun. I didn't let me missing out on some special coin, ruin the hobby. And I feel like there needs to be that realization in the bourbon hobby that it's okay to not get everything. It's okay to not, have something show up in your local for a decent price. And I mean, the last time I purchased a BTAC was 2016. I bought a William LaRue Weller for $200 in 2016. It was a pretty heavy amount to pay at that time in 2016, but I did it. That was the last time I've ever bought a BTAC. Do I care? No. Do I think BTAC is awesome? Of course I do. I love it. I love George T. Stagg. I love Handy. I love all of them, but do I see them in my area? No. And when I do, they're priced more than what I want to pay for them. Sure. So life goes on. I don't, whine about it or spend my days kicking the can around because I couldn't get my pappy, So, okay. So I guess my point is this. The bourbon world has grown significantly in the last few years, and there are a lot of folks in, just like in any other hobby, that have the means to be able to afford more expensive things than others. And this exists again in other things like cars, whatever. And there is a luxury market out there. There's a luxury whiskey market out there. Brands are only smart to create products to put in that marketplace. And it's not so much that they're going to make a ton of money, because I don't think Sazerac's going to make a ton of money off the $10,000 Eagle Rare. They're probably going to make a lot more than that off of just Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare, the regular Eagle Rare, right? But it's having that there to meet that market, that it exists there, that it simply exists there. It's like you'll see people that walk in the liquor store, they know nothing about whiskey. They're looking for a gift and they want to spend $200 or they want to spend $300. What are they going to do? They're going to go to the store manager and say, hey, I need to get a special bottle for this friend of mine who's really into whiskey. And they're going to sell him a Johnny Walker Blue, or they're going to sell him a Sinatra, and he's going to be totally stoked because he's got this cool box with this fancy looking whiskey. And to him, it was totally worth what he just paid. And, you could sub that out with other things, the Woodford Baccarat, whatever, there is a market for that. So there is a market for high-end whiskey, and brands are only being smart to create things to throw into that tier. Brown-Forman just did it with that. Didn't they have one that was like, it was only 5,000 bottles and it was $1,000 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to keep up with everything.
I understand. So
everybody's doing this. I mean, you have some brands where they're almost built on top of that to some degree. Like you have plenty of Willett stuff that sits on the shelf, but you have the purple tops, and they go for $350 plus. For a 9-year barrel proof whiskey, and people love it, and I love it, and I don't have many. I have 2, but I'm proud of the 2 that I have. And I'm happy that I have them. And there's, it just is. There is this tier.
It is, yeah.
And it's kind of always existed. It just exists at a larger scale now. And now it's kind of what people feel like are infringing on releases that they used to be able to purchase and have access to, are now creeping up into that tier. And so I understand them being disappointed by that. I get it. At the same time, there are tons of alternatives, and there are tons of alternatives, not just in brands that you know and love, but in brands you haven't discovered yet. And I promise, if you just get out and kind of sip new things, you will find cool shit to be excited about. That's going to get you out of these blues of like, this whiskey was too expensive. Now, then when you get to the whole, like, if you want to talk expensive whiskey, you have whiskey that tastes like it's expensive, and then you have whiskey that obviously doesn't. And I would like to think or hope that what you're tasting now tastes like expensive whiskey, whether it justifies the exact price tag or not. I mean, I would like to think that this tastes better than a Kentucky Spirit or Russell's Reserve Pick or even Russell's 13.
I think I could argue that it does.
Yeah, I don't think I could taste this and put a price on it, but I will agree that this tastes like something special and something expensive.
Right.
Like it does not taste like I've just went and got even one of the Russell's 13s or something over there. I will say that without even putting a number on it, it tastes special, and it tastes like if you paid a lot of money for it, you've got your money's worth. So
I go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead, Perry. No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say I do think that there is just that that misconception that and I'm not saying that we are absolved of falling short of the truth in our own right, but that misconception of, well, they were just throwing whatever they could into the bottle. But I know you, Dave, well enough to know that you wouldn't just do that.
No,
I know there's no reason for me to assume that you would do that, and knowing too that even so far back as a year before it even got bottled, knowing that you were tasting it and you approved of it then. You were putting your stamp of approval on it then. I mean, that is, to me, it is special whiskey. It is something that you're not going to be able to get all the time.
Right. I mean, there aren't many independent bottlings of Wild Turkey. And even Single Cask Nation had to go up in price this year.
They did.
I mean,
they did.
And again, there are reasons for that. I can't get into them because, again, I'm not an employee of Campari. I'm not an employee of Rare Character, and it's not my area of business to be talking about that stuff. But some of the same reasons are likely the reasons why Single Cask Nation had to raise their price. With Pride of Anderson County, it is a little different because it's its own brand, so there had to be a lot of work done to create the art and the labels and the legal stuff, everything that goes into it. But there are reasons. Again, what the main thing for me is, does it taste special? Does it taste like expensive whiskey?
And the answer is yes.
Actual dollar amount, that's a different, topic. But if you can check that first main box, which is, does it taste expensive? Does it taste fancy? Does it taste like something special? If you can check that box, that's the main box that needs to be checked. If you can't check that box, then you've got a problem. And there are releases out there, as you know, that are pretty high dollar that don't check that box at all. And I'm not saying what, but they exist, and usually don't find out till you're a sore loser and you've spent the money and it was like, wow, wish I had not done that.
I can look at a few in my room right now.
A couple behind us.
Speaking of special, I think that tasting the rye would be a good thing.
I just did, actually.
To do that,
I don't know if you saw my face just a second ago.
I did. I was like, I bet he tasted the rye.
I did taste the rye.
So,
holy crap.
Yeah, I've been curious to taste the rye because I love Wild Turkey rye. And it's one of the few ryes that I always get the same note. So I'm curious if I get that same note in there somewhere or if it's a completely different
I don't know, man. I gotta be honest, I got a little choked up trying it.
Yeah.
That was
it is very special whiskey. It's pretty much right up there with Booker's Rye, in my opinion. I mean,
I don't disagree.
I know people can say, well, it's easy for him to say, but remember that I didn't make this whiskey. I didn't even pick this whiskey. Bruce picked this whiskey with Grant at the Rick House and sent the samples to me. Actually, I think they picked it in the lab, but besides that, they sent it to me to kind of see if it was something that I would like, if it was something that I would want bottled. And of course, the answer was hell yes. The second I nosed it, I was like, these are amazing. Mm-hmm. That was not a struggle at all. But I can't take credit for, that part.
Sure.
Wild Turkey made this. Bruce picked it, sent away. Pablo tasted it. He was blown away. He knew how special it was the second he tasted it. Of course, I tasted it about the same time he did, and we unanimously decided that this was something much greater than we ever anticipated, and eventually turned into what it is now. Over a year later, but the rye is there. Wild Turkey has never released a single barrel rye barrel proof ever. This is the first, and then we have another rye barrel that's sitting in the warehouse aging right now. That'll be the second. But that's it. You don't get turkey rye like this. It's also so far to date the highest proof rye. This is 116.8, so that's higher than the current rare breed rye, and of course higher than the single barrel rye, which is 104. But tell me that's not up there. Tell me that's not like Booker's level.
I'm sitting. So when we were talking about, we've always done our best of releases of the year, right? And so immediately after drinking this, I was like, I need to find a spot for this on my lid. This is.
It tastes like apple pie to me.
There is a lot of apple in it.
I love apple notes on Wild Turkey Rye, and this probably has the most extreme like baked apple note. And it may not even be that I don't know if I like the initial taste as much as I like the finish. The finish is where I get everything. Like
it does really kind of just explode.
Yeah, so
it gets all over your jaw. Yeah,
I love a good finish, and it's like drinking an apple pie, a freaking apple pie, just with like the smell gets a little hint of apple, and then a lot of crust, like a kind of a doughy crust, and then you just taste it, and it tastes like the inside of an apple pie. It's great.
Yep.
I'm just
it's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to what we've got sitting in the warehouse. But what we have already is again exceeded the expectations that I had. Going back to the price thing, if that's an individual call, people have to kind of decide if that's worth it to them.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't something that was trying to take advantage of anyone. So if it comes across that way, that was never the intention. These are their reasons, and then these are businesses, and that's just how it is. But you can't knock the taste. The liquid is phenomenal, and very thrilled to even have the opportunity to be able to do this.
I think I'm in the same camp as you, Dave, of I do want to just try stuff, and I know that everything that we said was prior to us even having the opportunity to try it. And I am very, very grateful that we have now been able to, because I mean, this is such a special experience. Not just because of, it all of the little factors and the little, footnotes and everything of why it's so special, but just that, the thing that I keep going back to, I think, and I try to remind myself the most of as well, is how important the community aspect is to bourbon and well, I guess rye now too. But you just so quickly were like, I need you to taste it.
Yeah.
And that to me, I think was a lot more generous than we should have been. A lot more generosity than we could have been offered.
No, man, don't worry about that. I appreciate honesty over anything else. I feel like there's I think that you handled it as well as it could have been handled based on your emotions. I mean, seriously, you came out and said, look, we're gonna talk about some pretty heavy things, and I don't mean any disrespect, and you were very careful of how you did that. Nothing really bothered me that much. There was a comment about letting the bourbon community down or whatever. That
I know.
That hurt,
I
but,
shouldn't have said that.
Well, that's all right.
I shouldn't have said that.
Well, I don't want to be defined by Pride of Anderson County. I don't want to be defined by a price tag. I'd like to think that just like I feel like it's unfair to judge Wild Turkey based on 2 or 3 limited editions that came out for an expensive price one year, when the rest of their catalog is affordable and available. I feel like it's unfair to throw that kind of judgment. So I would like to think that, like, if you take a step back and look at everything that I've tried to do over the years with my blog and my books and my community and involvement, with Wild Turkey, has always been to try to connect with bourbon enthusiasts and Wild Turkey fans, and just form a group of passionate individuals that love bourbon, love Wild Turkey, that seek out information, that seek out history, that want to compare profiles, all the fun stuff. I don't want it to be defined by an independent bottling and something that was expensive. Just like I feel like it's unfair for people to allow Wild Turkey to be defined by a few handful of expensive bottles. And the fact of the matter is, a handful of expensive bottles is going to happen for a lot of producers, next year, unless something changes with, people talk about a bubble bursting and the glut and all this. It's like, I don't really think that it's going to happen in an extreme way. I do think that there will eventually be a time where demand falls, and that just happens naturally with anything. Do I think it's going to crash like it did back during the glut era? No, I don't think we're going to see anything like that. But I do think that interest will peak out at some point and plateau. And maybe we're coming up on that, maybe not. I don't know. But I feel like the hobby has so much positive. There's so many things that we can do and talk about.
You're absolutely right.
Don't let a couple bottles get you down. Like, it's sad because I've never blocked anyone on social media other than scammers.
The spam, yeah.
Sure. I will block. I do not mind people getting angry. I don't mind people making off comments, stuff. But there was one person last week on Instagram that just really went over the line with me, and I had to block him. And I'm like, this is not what this is about. Hurling personal insults at someone, especially insults of the sexual nature,
right.
is just not something that this hobby needs. And if they think they're, doing any kind of good by this, it's not. And so, I hate that it's kind of, and that's an extreme example, and hopefully I never run into something like that again. But it's okay, people. Like there's a lot of cool stuff out there that we can drink and talk about, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. If you want to buy expensive whiskey, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't blame you.
If you want to say it's okay,
you don't have to.
If you want to say it's okay, Perry, that's fine too, because I need because I feel Perry. Thank you, Dave. But I am happy that you brought up that comment that I made saying you'd failed the bourbon community, because looking back on that, that is the thing that I regret saying the most during that whole episode.
Well, it's okay, man.
But I think I've gotten past it, but it is something that, I do apologize to you for saying, because
it's all right, man.
It's just A, it's not who I am. And B, I was in such a heated state in that moment that even if I meant what I said at that time, I don't feel that at all.
Well, thank you.
Like it's just not true. Like right. you have done so much for not just Wild Turkey and encouraging people to, check out what they have been doing, because they are still, I think, some of the most unsung heroes in bourbon. We talk about it all the time.
Right.
But just showing the community at large that it's okay to be a super fan. It's okay to have a passion for a particular brand. You know, our buddy Ian is a New Riff guy. You know, that's his thing. He's all in with New Riff. And if anything, you have enhanced and encouraged the bourbon community. And it's so unfair of me to have ever said, you failed it. And
shake it off, man. It's no need to apologize.
Shaking off.
People, you know, when you care about something, right? And that's when you tend to speak your mind the most. If it was something that you didn't really care about, you wouldn't be that passionate about it. You might make a few jokes about it and move on with your day, right?
Sure.
But when you care about something, you tend to get more emotional, and you obviously care about bourbon. You care about the hobby, and you know you felt let down by the price, which I don't blame you. A lot of people did, because traditionally Wild Turkey has been more of the, you know, working person's whiskey, I guess you could say.
We said as much, I think, in that episode too.
Yeah, I mean that's tends to be it's traditional base. I think that things have changed because people have realized that the quality of the whiskey that Wild Turkey makes is not working man's quality.
Absolutely.
It's just as good as any other high-end brand out there. And I think that Campari's wised up to that as well. Again, they have shareholders, they're a business. There's their responsibility to take care of those shareholders and to turn a profit. And when you have bottles that you're selling, like look at when Russell's 13 first came out, it was like $69.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And people were flipping it for $4.50.
Yep.
And you've got to think someone in the office in New York was looking at that one day going, we've got this price too low.
We can't do this. Yeah, we can't do this.
We can't do this. And that is completely logical and makes every bit of sense.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for people to get mad about that, because if they worked there, they would probably make the same damn observation and recommend the price go up. So it's only because we care about it so much that it becomes passionate and becomes, you know, voiced that way. You know, and a lot of people that work at these corporations, they're not bourbon geeks like we are. I mean, their job is to to do what they're supposed to do. And their job may be maximizing the profit for the company or figuring out, you know, the market price based on what people are paying. And, you know, I cannot fault them for doing their job, because that's what their job is. It's not communism and it's not charity. It's a business, you know?
Right.
So, anyway, I think I've said probably enough about the pricing. It's funny because, you know, bourbon pricing, it just, when it creates a lot of conversation.
It really does.
Like on my Discord server, I see it all the time. I see it on Twitter all the time. I see it on Instagram. People can go on and on and on about, but it never really ends. But ultimately, people do have to face, you know, supply and demand. I mean, much like gravity, you cannot ignore it.
Sure.
You know, it exists, and it's a proven concept, and that's just always going to be there. So you can wrestle with the bear all you want to, but the bear is going to win in the end, and the bear is supply and demand. So,
yeah, I appreciate you mentioning the passion part, Dave, because I think that's like just shows that you understood why we got the way we did. And the older I get, the more I complain about money. I've found bills and all that. So, but I appreciate you pointing that out. And you're much nicer than some of the comments and messages I got saying that I need to learn how whiskey works before I complain about pricing. So,
well, you know,
that was an intense thing for people to say.
Another thing that people don't like to hear, but it's true, is that, like, you know, we don't have to have this, right? Like,
exactly.
It's not milk or bread or gasoline. I mean, this is stuff that, like, honestly, you know, truth be told, might be a little healthier without it. I don't know, mentally maybe not as healthy.
Sure, yeah.
Like I enjoy my whiskey at night.
Yeah, exactly.
It serves a nice mental health purpose to me. Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like to me that means something to me. Right. But do we have to have it to live? No, we don't have to have it to live.
It's a
you
luxury.
don't have to have it to go to your job. You don't have to have it to put food on the table or put diapers on the baby, whatever. You don't have to have this. And people get mad when I say that because they'll be like, no one is forcing you to buy this whiskey. Like you do not have to buy this, and people get upset about that. But it's true. It's true. Like you don't have to have this. Like, so
you're right.
So there is a positive thing about this. Use that. That is your power. So when you go to the liquor store and you see that bottle you really want, and the retailer has marked it up to a price that you're not willing to pay, don't pay it.
Yeah.
Just walk. Just buy something else. Get you a handle of 101, walk out, get home, pour it in your glass, and you're going to be like, you know what? This ain't that bad,
I do need to get some 101 right now.
That is probably the one thing that I feel like as a whiskey nerd or bourbon nerd that I feel like I've actually grown a little bit over the past year or two is learning. And like you said earlier about FOMO and feel like you're entitled to every release. It's like, I feel like we all probably felt like that at one point. And maybe people still feel like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like now, just because if somebody hears me complaining about a price doesn't mean I'm just mad at everything. It's like, I'm more picky now and I don't have to have that. I want to, I'm okay. Like you just said, walking into my local store that I've went for years and years and seeing their stuff go up, just grabbing 101 and walking out, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Everybody has their own threshold. Everyone has their own limits. As long as you stay true to those, you should sleep well at night. Like I said, the last time I bought a BTAC was 2016. I see it, fall comes around. But I'm not paying $800 for a bottle of Stag. I'm just not. Now, is there someone else that would? Very likely there is, and that's why it's priced that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get angry because that person can afford it and chooses to buy it.
Sure.
That's them, and that's what they feel like is worth them. And honestly, that's changed for me too in smaller amounts. Like when I first got into the hobby, like if it was like a $50 bottle, that was a very expensive bottle for me.
Yes.
When I first got started.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember those days too.
I was more comfortable in the 20 to 40 range, and 100 was just out of the question early on, very early. But you get into it and you put one foot in front of the other. Next thing you know, you're like inching into 60, inching into 70. It's like it happens for a lot of people.
You buy a Booker's and then you buy another Booker's and then you're like, oh, I guess I could spend $100 on it. Yeah,
so
it does.
It happens. But there is still a limit for everyone. And the cool thing is just to recognize that limit and know when to walk and feel good about it. And now, like I said, I mean, here's another cool thing to look at too. Like when I was first getting into it, there were only a few limiteds every year, right? You had BTAC, you had your Pappy, you had your birthday bourbon, you had your Four Roses LE, you had your Parkers, and then Wild Turkey might do something, cool like Diamond or whatever. That was kind of it. Like there was no limited editions coming out all throughout the year. There were no craft producers that tasted good or were real popular. Now it's like there is literally a limited edition like every week.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, there is a limited edition like every week. There is no way that you can buy every one of them. At least there's no way that I can.
No.
I
can't even keep up with
most people cannot. So you're already passing anyway, right? You're passing on stuff just by default because it's impossible to get it off. So just make decisions. If you are a Wild Turkey fan, and now that we've accepted that Wild Turkey is going to be releasing luxury priced whiskeys every year, it may just be one or two or three. This year it was three. It'll probably just be one or two, for most years. My recommendation is if you really want them, just save up for them. I mean,
sure.
I would like to think that most people listening probably buy a few $50 bottles every month. I think that's not unreasonable. Let's say they buy a $50 bottle a week on average. Just throwing that out there. Some people might be less, other people might be a lot more than that. If you just cut that down by half and say, okay, well, I'm going to set aside $100 each month, then you would have $1,200 for the year to spend on Single Rick House or Master's Keep, or I don't know, if some one-off like Generations comes out again, you'd have the money to do all that. It's just, you just got to kind of decide what your priorities are as a whiskey consumer.
It's like the piggy bank. You break in case of special release. And you just break it and you're ready to go.
And it's funny that you say piggy bank, because that reminds me too, something I thought of earlier, and I was like, I need to mention that and forgot about it, was some of these producers have seen ahead of time what's coming and went ahead and made some decisions about that. Whistle Pig and Barrel being two of those.
Yeah.
They priced their LEs at anywhere from $200 to $500. And they just put that as SRP and put it up there on the shelf. And that's that. They're like, they don't deal with the flipping stuff that we deal with other brands that we love. If I want to go buy a Whistle Pig 15, I can get in my car right now and I can go buy a Whistle Pig 15. If I want to spend that kind of money, I know it's sitting there on a shelf and I can go get it. And there are a lot of Scotch whiskeys like that. There are a lot of Scotch whiskeys where if I want to go buy a fancy Scotch and I want to go drop $600, I can go get it right now. It's not like Pappy where it's like, I've got to find somebody who knows somebody who's, might know a brother or a cousin that knows somebody. Like, I don't have to do any of that. I can get in my car. I can go buy a fancy Scotch. I can go buy a fancy Whistle Pig. I can go buy a fancy barrel right now. I can go get a gold barrel, whatever. So they kind of saw that coming and jumped on that early. And you don't hear anybody going, barrels ruining the hobby. Whistle Pig just totally screwed the consumer. No. It's like, you don't hear any of that. That's because they jumped on that early and saw where this stuff was going. And now that some of our favorite brands are doing it,
that's the caveat, I think, is that, what we, have said before is, with some of these newer brands, with some of the brands that, came out of the gate swinging, we kind of expect it from them to have things priced more than we typically are seeing from our heritage favorite.
Oh yeah, that was another comment too. That was you have those bottles back there, and I was like, okay. Well, I've never accepted those prices, but maybe I'm just used to those prices. And when you see you have a lot of passion for wild turkey, and you see something that costs a little bit, you get a little upset.
Yeah,
nothing wrong.
It takes some stepping back. Just like what got me is I had a few people that lashed out in comments on social media at me about the prices of Generations or something like that. Like I controlled that somehow,
You control all wild turkey, Dave.
Yeah. They're lashing out at me like, how dare you, give this a favorable review? They're greedy, ripping people off, whatever.
Oh.
And then you go look at their feed and it's like a bunch of Willet Purple Tops and you're like, give me a break, idiot.
There we go.
Like, come on.
There we go. Well, Dave, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you've got stuff you need to take care of this afternoon, but again, thank you so much for coming on and kind of setting the record straight with us. But I'm sure everybody knows where to find you, but just in case they don't, where's the best place for people to follow up with you?
Well, my blog is RareBird101.com. You can also find me on Instagram at RareBird101 or at RBird101. I'm still hanging on by a thread on Twitter, or X as they call it.
It'll always be Twitter.
It's always Twitter to me. It's God. We could talk another hour about that.
Oh, I don't. I'm not. I don't have the energy to get into that. Honestly,
but I'm there. And then, if you're interested, you could in my books that you can go to wildturkeybook.com, and both of my books there, both in e-format and hardback.
Do you have you need to do an audio version of that. You just read it to me.
Everybody says that. If I did an audio book version, I would pay Peggy No Stevens to narrate it.
Oh, that would be
her voice is killer, and I think that would be the most awesome voice for a bourbon audiobook.
American Spirit, I have the book upstairs, and I will say it takes a lot for me to read a book without pictures or not pictures. It's got pictures, but a comic book or something. But it was really it's great. But I will say my wife loved reading that book because she's not a big whiskey person. But she loved just the history of wild turkey and reading about it. And she just read it like a history book. And so I wanted to tell you that she loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome, actually.
Wild turkey.
I love hearing like when people who aren't into whiskey read the book and like it. That means a lot to me because it's they're kind of approaching it from a different mindset than we are when we read whiskey books. We're looking for keywords and how did this happen and all this kind of stuff. But they're just taking it as it's given to them and accepting that as a history, as a narrative there. And I really appreciate non-whiskey lovers' approval of the book almost more so than whiskey lovers, because if you can sell them on it, you can sell the whiskey lovers on it, right? Because it's already talking about something they want to hear about. So that means a lot. So thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah. And I'm sorry that the whole episode ended up getting talking about pricing.
Don't worry about it.
Which
Don't
is
worry
like,
about it.
They were probably expecting that day. We won't tell them, but that's probably what they want.
They'll find out for themselves eventually. Dave, thank you.
And hopefully I didn't rub too many people the wrong way. I know it's not the answers that everybody wants to hear. I know in a perfect world, everything would be available. Everything would be affordable.
Of course.
There would be no allocations. There would be no, maxing out your credit card for a bottle of booze. That's just not the way it is right now.
Don't do that.
Next episode, we're going to talk about anime, though, because fun fact.
Couldn't help you with that one.
He couldn't help me with the anime question because he was one of the first people that responded to a comment. Like when I first started my Instagram, I was like, this guy looks like he knows a lot about wild turkey. So I messaged him because there is a anime from the 90s called Trigun.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. I remember that.
They put he's drinking whiskey in this bar, and there's Austin Nickel, all this wild turkey stuff on there.
That's so
and I messaged him and go, do you know anything about this? Was this like a collaboration? I'm pretty sure the anime just did what they wanted to, and nobody noticed. Cool. But yeah, we talked about anime a little bit, and he couldn't figure it out for me.
We'll figure it out next time. That's fair.
That is cool, though. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Dave, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
All right. Well, now we're going to move on to barrel rings.
Barrel rings.
Segment of the show that you can be a part of, actually, by calling in and leaving a voicemail or by texting the number 859-428 8253. Yeah, 859-428-8253. You can call, leave a voicemail, or text us. We got quite a bit to get to this week. Starting out with a voicemail from somebody that didn't leave a name.
What?
Yeah, I don't know who this person
Anonymous?
is. Yeah.
Ooh.
Hey. So hopefully I have reached TIMBP. I am attempting to leave a barrel ring in time for next week's episode. I just had a couple of suggestions. One, I totally agree with Eric about that soy, funky, super salty, sweet, and no point in fake sugar notes that some barrel-aged, especially dark beers can get.
Okay.
Not a fan at all. I would be interested in his opinions on Dragon's Milk. Also, Kentucky Distilling does a ale and a couple other products or beers that do not have that note, or I have an experience on the ale. It's an Irish red that I enjoy and never met a Dragon's Milk product that I don't like, although I have yet to try the whiskey. So it would be cool to see how that goes on a future show. Have a good weekend, guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for calling in. I have no idea who you were.
First off, thanks for agreeing with me. That makes me feel great. And I do want to drink something called Dragon's Milk because that sounds metal as fuck.
It really does. Yeah.
Is that a beer?
It is a beer.
I think is it like It's like one of those big bottle ones. I feel like I've seen it before. But yeah, let's try some dragon's milk.
Okay. Oh, you can
it
just
looks
get it in
so cool.
regular bottles. Look at
Okay,
that.
I'm down. Let's
You
try
get
it.
it in a can.
In a can, too?
That's white. Bourbon barrel aged white stout? What?
All right, I'm down to try some.
And what they were saying too is they have a whiskey now.
Oh, that's that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that bottle before. Not like in person. I've seen like pictures of it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Person we don't know, but we'll definitely try that. Of course, we reviewed the Kentucky Distilling Bourbon Barrel Ale from Alltech.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago at this point. Couple months maybe?
Yeah, I think I like that one.
You did. I did.
Yeah.
We gave it a good review.
I
I love Kentucky Distilling. I think they
dragon, I don't know.
I'll find some for us. Next one, we do know who this is from. It's Jared.
Oh.
Happy Monday morning, gentlemen.
Hey.
It's Jared, checking in again. I just want to let you guys know the pregame chats last episode was effing phenomenal. I don't want to swear in case Perry has to edit it, and that just seems like,
Fucking phenomenal.
But I mean, the whole segment on Yoda trying to coerce you into anal sex, and then 15 minutes of West Virginia Star Wars. It was chef's kiss. Beautiful. Also, this is not the second time I've heard someone use the term holler to refer to a geographic area. The other time being, I'm watching Justified, both Kentucky things. So it's clearly a Kentucky thing. I'm still not 100% sure what exactly a holler would refer to.
I'll answer it to you in just a second.
Is what it is. Perry, I feel very uncomfortable saying this, but I do want to apologize. I didn't see a recipe. I just wasn't as active on social media as I typically am over Thanksgiving. It was just busy. I'm hosting 2 Thanksgivings, so 5 turkeys, baking 4 pies, side dishes. And then my mother-in-law was staying with us the whole week. So that is what it is. But I'll look at that recipe. I also forgot to make your wife's punch recipe for a party Thanksgiving. I got it, and I just completely forgot about it because of the extenuating circumstances. So apologize for that, Perry. But yeah, keep up the good work, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, listen. I grew up in a holler. And yes, I grew up in Eastern Kentucky. Justified took place in Harlan. I dated a girl from Harlan because it was like 45 minutes away from where I lived. So the holler is basically an unpaved road that's like it goes up through, like it's almost like somebody just split the mountain apart and you just got to drive through the mountain. And then all of a sudden you come out at the end of it. It looks just like something on Justified. That's where I grew up.
Here's the thing, though. Do not trust Justified when it comes to Kentucky geography or distances between
Lexington
2 points.
And like
Ashland is that's like an hour and a half drive, and they're like there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, the same way with Lexington. They went from Harlan to Lexington. That's like 2.5 hours drive. But yeah, that's a funny story. I dated a girl from Harlan. I hung out in Harlan for a while. I won't tell you what that girl's doing now. Just can't.
You want another barrel ring?
Yeah.
Also, thank you for apologizing, Jared. But also,
You shouldn't apologize.
hey,
What?
What's going on, boys? It's Bill, and I'm listening to the episode sitting in front of Costco, going to get me one of them big old hot dogs that Eric likes so much. But, oh my goodness, you guys. Okay, so let's clarify something. When I suggested throwing a shot of Whiskey or 101 into your barrel-aged stout, last time you just had a barrel-aged stout. It wasn't something with a bunch of adjuncts in it. I don't think it would work with the adjuncts, but it's more like if you have a barrel-aged stout, you want a little more of that hit. Add a little whiskey, maybe a shot. If you took the term shot literal, like that might have been too much. So sorry about that. I should have definitely been more clear. And I'm so sorry that the Banana Foster's was not good for you. I'm going to try it on Christmas with my father-in-law, so we'll see what I think of it. But Ron Banana doesn't really sound too appealing. As for Curveball, I'm not sure if you guys remember, but I actually tagged you in a post on Instagram from Curveball, and it had to do with their grilled peach margarita, which is fantastic. I had it. It was great. We talked about it, I think, briefly a couple of calls ago, and I tagged you in it just to show you the recipe. And apparently anyone I tagged on that post got a follow from Curveball. So I don't know if they listened to the episode, but maybe you should send them a link so they can. And then that way they know what they're getting themselves into. Hanging out with these clowns.
That sounds like a trap.
Anyway, you guys are awesome. Love listening to this episode so far. I can't wait to hear the rest. Don't have anything else much more to say except for this holiday season. You guys do your friends a favor. Check in on them. All right? All right, guys. I think that's it for now. You guys have a great one. Take care. Bye.
Why did his audio quality change so hard?
I don't know. Is he okay? Can we check in on him?
I have to go to the office on Monday. Sorry. We didn't do like a literal shot of 101.
We did a little pour.
We did a pour of.
I don't know what the
Kentucky
adjectives are you're talking about.
Adjunct is what he was saying.
Adverbs.
What he meant was all the extra little bits and bobs that they throw in.
What are bips and bobs that they throw in?
Well, you know, like it had like bananas and it had almonds and it had.
They put that in there?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like a barrel. Like a banana barrel.
When they brew the beer, they make it with that. Look, man, I got to be honest with you. I don't really know what I'm talking about.
They're putting actual bananas in there?
I guess so.
What?
I guess so.
I have no clue how this stuff works.
Yeah. We got a couple texts as well. First one's from Tony Bagadoni's.
Tony.
Hello, boys. Just chiming in on the pizza list from last week's pregame chats available on Patreon. Support your favorite podcast host for as little as $1 a month. He did. Nice. If you're watching the YouTube version, it's on the screen too, so you know I'm not lying. He said support your favorite podcast hosts for as little as $1 a month. So if you take out all of those BS cauliflower pizzas, we could bump Tony's up to third place. That's how it works, right? Then it's settled.
Now listen, Tony messaged me on Instagram mad at me because I said I didn't like Tony's. And I will still, and I told him I'm standing by it. Tony's frozen pizza sucks. The sauce is horrible. So it ain't bumping up to nowhere on my list. I'm sorry. I'm apologizing like everybody else, but I'm sorry for not being sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Tony's frozen pizza sucks.
Okay. We also have a text message from Don Nishida.
Oh, nice.
Aloha, TIMBP. Just a short holiday message for you as we head towards 2024.
Okay.
Now, I've not watched this yet.
What? What is it? Cameo? Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Is this going to play on the YouTube thing?
I don't know. Oh, is it going to play on YouTube? Yes.
Are we going to tell him who the... Perry just clicked the link that Don Nishida sent, and it said Cameo, and Fred Minnick's on the screen.
Yeah.
So this is great.
Yeah. I don't know what we're about to
Play
hear.
This shit.
I'm so excited for this.
Oh, God.
Hey, what's up, Perry and Eric? Or should I say Larry and Derek? Don booked me on Cameo with some concerns. They're concerned that you're taking bourbon a little too far. They saw you, digging through the trash cans at Liquor Barn, hoping to find just a little dribble left of an Elmer T. Lee or a Pappy Van Winkle.
I haven't done that.
They heard that you were hiding in the bathrooms of Lexington bars, hoping to not be found when they were closing. And you would sneak out at like 3 o'clock in the morning and just get a pool of some kind of whiskey there that you haven't had before. But it wasn't until they saw you at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday before church, mind you, that you were inside a liquor store in the bad part of town buying a bottle of Kessler's to drink in the parking lot. Look, Perry,
I don't
Eric,
go to church.
We've known each other for a long time, and
Have we, Fred?
I think you all do a great job on the podcast. But Don and I are genuinely concerned that you may need to see some help. It may be that you've got this FOMO, this tater lordship thing going over your head, that it's just too much, and you all have hit that breaking point. So it's okay to take a break from time to time. And yeah, we're here for you. Don and I are here for you. Just kidding. Hey, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, whatever you all celebrate. You know, I'll think the world of both of you, and I'm so happy that you all are engaged in the bourbon community. Be safe out there. I look forward to having a drink with you next time, and I cannot wait for you to make fun of me again for Halloween. I love that every single year. I look forward to
Finally,
it.
I'm
Cheers.
recognized.
He did it! He did it!
It took Don paying him to say this. It took Don Nishida paying a cameo for me to get recognized for Freddie Minnick.
And he specifically said making fun of him. Oh, my sides hurt.
I appreciate Derek being called Derek by Fred Minnick
my
for the
gosh.
second time in my life.
But here's there's so much to break down here. First of all, how much do you think he actually remembers?
No, he does not.
That's what's so good.
There's no fucking way. No, he doesn't.
What's so good about that? The other part is because he doesn't remember, he doesn't get the joke.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't get Derek. I'm giving Don Nishida his money back.
Oh God, no! Don't give it back. It was worth it. It was so funny.
I don't know if this makes me feel better or worse. I actually feel worse right now.
I'm sorry.
I feel worse. This didn't work at all.
Oh, hey, he said some really nice things about us, though.
He did. Known us for years. Us for years.
Hey, how about some high-proof hot takes?
Cameo.
That was
High proof hot take.
that was so good.
I can't wait till I actually have a real drink.
I would love to set up a time for the three of us to have a drink
Set it up.
together.
Set it up.
Everything that's been grinding your gears.
Give me a second.
Oh, so funny.
Okay, let's focus. Get back in track here. Okay. High proof hot takes. What if it's been grinding my gears? I've completely lost track of what's happening right now.
Where are we? Who am I?
What is happening? What have we done today? I feel like we've been recording for 2 days.
Am I in the animated classic Robin Hood by
Maybe.
Walt Disney?
Or am I in the real life Robin Hood in tights?
Which, yeah.
High proof hot takes.
Eric told me off mic, by the way, that he loves the Maid Marian animated fox from.
Oh my god, she's hot.
So you admit it?
Yes. And the female Lion King, Nala. That too. High proof hot takes. I don't know, man. Just like there's stuff that pisses me off every day, I feel like.
I got a good one.
What? Animals
are not great Christmas presents. Don't get a dog unless you're ready to have a dog.
What if they are ready to have a dog, though?
Think it through.
What if they did?
Well, then get a dog. Fine, whatever.
What brought this on? What brought this on?
I'm not talking about this on the main feed.
Oh, shit. Old people again?
Oh, there's plenty of old people stuff.
Not knowing how to use like a kiosk type thing where it's like everything's automated. I had to pull out a debit card for an old man. I literally took an old man's debit card because it was beeping over and over and over, and he was just sitting there, and I was like, "Are you okay? I thought he was having a stroke or something." He's like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting for this to finish."
You know the signs of a stroke.
Yeah.
Though, right?
Yeah. But yes. Hypervoltaic. People thinking I don't know stuff. Sick of it. I know things. I may not know why stuff's priced the way it is. I may not know the process of barrels or something, but I know other stuff. And I know to take your debit card out when it's beeping. I could have ran.
This is my favorite episode ever.
I could have ran with an old man's debit card in my hand and never looked back.
Yep. Yeah, you could have.
I could have, but I didn't.
You know, and you know how much that probably was worth.
I mean, I'm sure he probably looked like somebody that saved money up every penny.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Oh, this book.
People who don't take their debit card out when it says to take it out and they let it beep for more than 5 seconds. That's my high proof hot take for the day. Just pull it out.
Tips and bits.
Pull it out.
Well, this has been an up. No, we're going to recommend some things that you should be watching, listening to, reading, playing. Maybe. We've lost it.
I recommend Barry playing Spider-Man 2 again because it's still my favorite thing.
So, on the subject of superhero video games,
okay,
I am for the first time, after it being the first one came out 14 years ago.
Oh, Marvel vs. Capcom.
No, wouldn't that be something? Like I'm diving deep into the finally got released on a platform that I have the most access to.
Commodore 64.
The Batman Arkham trilogy.
Ooh,
yeah.
What's it on?
Switch.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Apparently, Arkham Knight does not perform super well.
Have you seen Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat on Switch?
Yes, I have.
It's bad.
That's what I've heard.
It's bad.
I've seen it just
It's
not
bad.
do it.
No.
It just not work at all.
Yeah.
And it's really funny that they decided it was a good thing to put that up.
What? Let's do it anyway.
But here's the thing, like
anyway.
Even like Arkham Asylum, which came out in 2009 on what? PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 at that point? Was that 360 or was
S?
I don't remember. Anyway.
Yeah. Not the newest.
No. But the Switch, which came out in 17?
Mm-hmm.
It does not play it super well. It still lags and frame drops, and it doesn't have audio issues though. There's no audio tearing, which is nice. But I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, it should be able to handle this.
The crazy thing is that, and I really want one. I don't know if I'll be able to get one just yet. I'll have to wait till after Christmas. But the PlayStation 5 now has a handheld.
Don't get it. No, it's reviewed. It's reviewed really, really poorly.
I've watched the videos.
The console always has to be on, but it has to be on.
Yeah. So if I'm laying in bed in downstairs, I just turn it on and I go up and play it.
I'm gonna send you a video.
Nope, I don't believe it. I'm not saying I want to play it when I'm out of town. I'm saying I want to play it when I'm in my bed.
I am going to send you a video.
I'm not going to watch it.
Well, then
I've already talked myself into this.
I mean, you do whatever you want to, but I'm just letting you know.
Anyway, so Why doesn't Nintendo make a high performance machine?
I don't.
That's
know.
what I want to know.
I don't know, but I will say though, I'm having so much fun with it. I beat Arkham Asylum in a couple of days. I'm on Arkham City right now. I like Arkham City better than I did Arkham Asylum, even though the consensus I think is that Asylum is a better game.
I liked Asylum better.
I don't know. There's something about the flow of the mechanics, especially the combat system that got improved even just a little bit from Asylum to City, that it just seems to work better with me, with my brain, because I was getting the crap kicked out of me in Asylum because there was so much like bullet time action, like slow-mo speeds, when I was just trying to like mow down a group of thugs and it just wasn't responding at the right time. So I don't know.
It's the most Batman thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mow down a group of thugs.
Yeah.
But I was I was playing it before bed the other night, and Lucy walks in and I just go, I'm Batman.
And she goes, I'm Catwoman.
I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Talia. I don't care.
Yeah.
Or Poison Ivy.
Do it.
Or Harley.
All of them.
Whatever.
All of them.
So weird. But yeah, that's been the thing that I've been doing the most this week, other than working.
I know that feeling.
Yep. What you got to recommend?
Well, what do I have? I'm still playing Spider-Man 2.
I did that.
You did that once. Because like this is what I love and hate about Spider-Man 2 is that there's so much to do without even completing the main thing that I get sidetracked.
Yeah.
I just get in like I'm Spider-Man and I'm just doing patrol. I've been patrolling neighborhoods, Perry.
You know what's so funny?
I'm
is like
50% of the main game, but I just come home and I've worked all day.
You just want to save people.
And I just patrol. And I'm living this Spider-Man life in my head that, oh, I got to check on this neighborhood. I got to check on the Bronx. I got to check on this. And I'm never going to finish this game because I'm just patrolling and waiting for crime to happen.
What's so funny is I'm the opposite with the Asylum games or the Arkham games.
Yeah.
Did I say Asylum games earlier? I think I did. Arkham games.
Yeah.
I want to play through it. Like I'm the same way with I was the exact same way with Tears of the Kingdom too. Like I wanted to get the upgrades so I could go and beat the boss, and then I wanted to do all the side missions like afterwards. So yeah, I'll wind up going back and getting all the Riddler trophies or whatever.
Yeah, but I love it.
It's just so fun though.
I love
that's
this
crazy.
game, but I'm never going to finish it because I just come home and I just want to be Spider-Man and patrol.
That's My Daily Bourbon with Skyrim.
Listen, My Daily Bourbon doesn't understand any jokes. If you want, this is a tips and bits. Join the Patreon so you can join the Discord so you can see all the jokes that My Daily Bourbon doesn't get on the Discord. Also, I'm going to be watching the new Miyazaki film, The Boy and the Heron.
Oh yeah,
watching it tomorrow.
Yeah. Did you see that Jordan Peele is teamed up with
Hideki
Kozima?
Yes.
Kozima?
They're going to do a movie game. Something apparently nobody's done. I'm here for it.
Hideo Kojima. That's who it is.
Yes. Here for it. But I will report next week what I think. I'm going to try to watch the new Godzilla as well.
Oh, I've heard such good things about it.
I want to watch it in theaters before it comes to streaming just because any Godzilla film I love. Thank you very much for that. I don't know what that is.
B520.
Ooh, baby. But I guess I'm saying tune in next week so I can report back for some new stuff. Otherwise, I'm just going to be patrolling a virtual New York City as Spider-Man, never completing this game.
So speaking of hearing about the new Godzilla being really good, I listened to the Weekly Planets episode where they reviewed it. And I mean, they said it was just phenomenal, but you know this, but you don't know this, that this podcast is now hosted by the official Kentuckian of
you're the official
the Weekly Planet.
Yeah, it was on there.
It was on an episode. It was dubbed. They were going through reviews. I left a review for the podcast.
Official.
It's still my favorite podcast ever. It's the only one that I like consistently keep up with on a weekly basis.
And it's the Weekly Planet.
And I left a review and I asked, could I be the official Kentuckian of the podcast?
You did it.
And James and Mason said, yes, you can.
You did it.
And so it is now, it's on my Twitter bio.
It has to be.
Yeah, like it's gotta be.
Yeah.
So I'm the official Kentuckian of the Weekly Planet, which
you did it.
I don't even need like Kentucky Colonel.
Oh, fuck
this
that.
point.
You got that. You know,
I got something way better.
So, with that being said, if you want to support the official Kentuckian of the Weekly Planet, who also has a podcast called This Is My Bourbon Podcast.
4 more years.
Yay!
4 more years. 4 more years.
Go to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month. You support the show. But what Tony forgot to say, at $5, you get all the bonus stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You get 2 bonus episodes a week, sometimes more, and you get this episode uncut. What?
B520 is interesting. Take a sip of it real quick. I just want to see what you think. Oh, the finish is real good. Is it like super corny up front?
Rice Krispies.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
Rice
Yep.
Krispies.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Go ahead.
Interesting. I haven't had that in a while. But yeah, support the show, get bonus stuff. It's just the best place you can get on the Discord. You can see My Daily Bourbon, not get jokes. You can maybe possibly get timed out by me. It's a joke. But that's the best place to do it. Patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. You can also support the show by buying merch. This is my bourbon shop. Oh, nope. Said it wrong.
Well, I mean, that's what it's called.
This is my bourbon shop.
Yeah, but the
bourbonshop.threadless.com
there you go.
is where you go to get merch. And then if you want to send an email to ask us to do something, a shout out, anything like that, this is my bourbon shop at gmail.com. You can do that. Send an email. Freaking cameo.
Fred sent us a cameo.
If you want to follow us on all social media, you can follow the show at My Bourbon Pod. You can follow me at Whiskey Mutant. And you can follow Perry at Peter1792.
The fact that the first cameo I ever got was from somebody I know personally is so funny to me.
That's nice.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. On all the platforms, anything that you can rate, review, comment, just do it all.
Please.
It helps everything. It feeds the algorithm. You know how it is. If you leave a review on anything, we'll read it out. Once again, thanks to Dave Jennings, RareBird101, for being part of the show today.
Yes.
We appreciate that. That's been a big part of. It's actually the first time that I really got a lot of like heat from, and it will go down in my memory forever. So, thank you all for that, and all of you who are maybe that was the first time listening because Dave was on there.
Could have been.
Either way,
Heck of an episode for you to jump in on.
Either way, I'm still going to complain about prices, and I'm not going to learn stuff about barrels.
And on that note, thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Eric.
And this is My Bourbon Podcast.